Committee will come to order. Good morning. The subcommittee will come to order, and welcome to the Ways and Means Trade Subcommittee hearing on expanding U.S. digital trade and eliminating barriers to U.S. digital exports. The first witness is Mr. Robert Atkinson, President of the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation. Our second witness is Mr. Christopher Padilla, Vice President of Government and Regulatory Affairs of IBM Corporation. Our third witness is Mr. Michael Beckerman, President and CEO of Internet Association. Our fourth witness is Ms. Kavita Shukla, co-founder and CEO of Fenugreen. Finally, our fifth witness is Mr. Usman Ahmed, Head of Global Public Policy at PayPal. Ms. Shukla, you're recognized.
Chairman Riker, Ranking Member Rangel, and members of the committee, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today and to share my story. My name is Kavita Shukla. I'm the founder and CEO of Fenugreen FreshPaper, which is a social enterprise taking on global food waste with a really simple innovation. FreshPaper actually began as my middle school science project. It was inspired by a trip to visit my grandparents in India. And when I accidentally drank some unfiltered tap water, my grandmother gave me a homemade mixture of spices as a remedy. And when I didn't get sick, I became really curious. So back home in Maryland, I started tinkering around with different spices and jars of dirty pond water. And I started to observe that it seemed like some of the spices were slowing down the growth of bacteria and fungus. And one day, when I was at the grocery store with my mom and I saw some moldy strawberries, I began to wonder if perhaps I could apply my spice mixture to keeping food fresh. And so, to make a long story short, after spending most of my high school years meticulously rotting fruits and vegetables, in my garage, I created FreshPaper, infused only with organic spices that can keep food fresh for up to 2 to 4 times longer. Today, we lose more than 25% of our world's entire food supply to spoilage. FreshPaper poses a really simple and sustainable solution to the massive global challenge of food waste. I was a senior in high school when I found out that I would be issued a patent for FreshPaper. It was a pretty unlikely outcome to my story, possible only in this country. I was aware, even at that age, that my grandmother, with all of her brilliance, she never had the opportunity to pursue her ideas. And here I was 17, I had a patent, and I was on my way to Harvard to pursue mine. So as soon as I got to college, I set out to build a nonprofit. But what I really ended up learning is how hard it can be to give something away for free. And like many aspiring entrepreneurs, I started to believe that I would need more experience, more money, more resources, just more than I had and more than I was. And I stopped believing that I alone would ever be enough to bring my idea out into the world. So it wasn't until the summer of 2011, nearly a decade after I first started working on my science project, that I finally had the courage to take just one more step with my idea. And I decided to take it to my local farmer's market in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I stayed up all night and handmade a batch of FreshPaper in the kitchen of my tiny studio apartment, and early the next morning, my co-founder and I stood on the streets just handing out sheets to anyone who would stop by. Our hope really was to help our local community have greater access to fresh, healthy food. But as the weeks went on, we were amazed by the response. What we really started to hear from people was that FreshPaper was making it possible for them to afford eating fresh, healthy food and feeding it to their families. And so I was inspired to think a little bit bigger. I set up an online store, and on a whim, we enabled international markets. In less than a minute, FreshPaper was available worldwide. And while we were only selling FreshPaper in one local store, the Harvest Co-op, we were shipping FreshPaper to places like Spain, Australia, Canada, the UK, Indonesia, Japan, and Brunei. I now joke that we went global by accident. With just a few errant clicks, my farmer's market stand had access to an almost infinite global market. But of course, at the time, we had no idea how to ship globally. But at every roadblock, we Googled our way out, and we discovered that there were digital tools to actually make this a reality. We found that PayPal could collect foreign payments, that Intuit QuickBooks could help us keep track of our earnings, and that UPS had a program, Mail Innovations, that really simplified customs. So even though we'd started with less than $1,000, we had no outside funding, no marketing budget, and really no experience. Within a few months, we were carting wheelbarrows of orders to our local post office and shipping our made-in-USA product to places I could have never imagined. Those international orders helped us keep our fledgling business alive, giving us time to build our customer base locally. Today, FreshPaper is on the shelves of some of the largest retailers in the world, from Whole Foods to Walmart. And we're working with international distributors to bring FreshPaper to more retailers, farmers, and families across the globe. And just recently, FreshPaper became the first product to be launched globally by Amazon as part of Amazon Launchpad, which made our simple idea available in 180 countries overnight. The internet took my farmer's market stand global. But my story is not unique, and I don't believe that it should be. I've seen the power of international markets and an open global internet. I'm here because I believe we have to reduce barriers to unleash our country's entrepreneurial talents and to encourage small business owners to think global from day one. Entrepreneurs live to work hard, to hustle, to spend sleepless nights figuring out how to make the impossible a reality, to push through the resistance, the naysayers, and the doubt, and in the unlikely event of our success, share the benefits with our communities, to create American jobs, to build factories, and to design organizations that will outlive us. But we cannot do it alone. We need your help. Give us access, help us reduce barriers to the spread of our ideas, and we'll work hard to figure out the rest. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Shukla, your testimony is inspiring, and this committee and others, you know, that on the Ways and Means Committee, we've heard some pretty inspiring stories as we sit here and listen to the testimony of Americans who have realized the American dream and still have dreams and hopes ahead. So congratulations on your success, and thank you to all of you for your testimony again today.